take one on the mini show on opening lines.
Hey, Jimmy.
Julie,
Good morning. How are
back
you?
again. It's good. It's Friday. I'm ready to talk about opening lines, which is probably not a great way to begin an opening line, is to ask somebody, what are your favorite ways to begin a conversation with somebody new?
Or to actually say, this is my opening line.
Similarly, as we always talk about, it's not great to introduce yourself to somebody and say, will you be my mentor?
Exactly. Although I do think if you go up to someone and said, this is my opening line and said it, that would be a lot of vulnerability and honesty that could get some laughs or could get some very awkward looks. We wouldn't recommend that. But the good news is if you listen to this episode, you're going to get a couple tips on how to open a conversation. This could be specifically somebody that you have identified to want to be a mentor. This could be somebody that you are looking to have a further conversation with. This could be somebody you want to work for. This could be somebody you want to work for you. How do you get a conversation going cold?
Mm-hmm. And most importantly, it is realizing you're talking to a person and not talking to somebody who might get you a job. It's still a person.
Yes. I think I say it's a person, not a penguin. It's just a person. Talk to a person. You can practice on a penguin first if that makes you feel better, but it is a person who also is sometimes intimidated by other people. No matter how successful they are, there's a lot of people who are really successful who are also nervous with other people as well. So it's just a person. You're just opening up the line, starting a conversation. Jimmy, what is your opening line?
How much I enjoy HubSpot. Do you know that HubSpot as a CRM is able to manage all your contacts in one place efficiently and help you sort and make lists so you can stay in touch and keep everything running efficiently? So this might
Do
be
you know what else you
weird.
could do in HubSpot? You could probably put your opening line in HubSpot because
Mm.
I, as the chief commercial officer of my company, leading in the sales role, use HubSpot for all of my sales conversations. And I have a little script that I keep on the side that I plug into
CCO.
every
Woo.
CRM, every that I plug into every contact. I have a little script that I use that I plug into every contact. So you could just put your opening line there.
Which is a wonderful way to A/B test because if you send out 20 emails, you could have a pitch line and then you could have a B pitch line that you try and you see which one has a higher success rate. So HubSpot is there for you. Also, if you're looking for other business tips on sales, check out some of the other podcasts in the HubSpot podcast network to upgrade your business acumen. But on today's show on AugMentors, we'll be discussing opening lines. You're going to learn how to connect better with others by just starting the conversation. We're going to give you actionable tips to keep you smiling and ready to say hello. You're also going to learn how to grow to your potential by understanding that others feel the same way as you. You're a person, you're going to be talking to people. How you feel is how they feel. And this entire episode is around the AugMentors principle of the pitch. So get ready. Here we go.
Here we go. Hey, Jimmy, how's your day going?
So, best opening line around. Simple, to the point. I always think about those old Budweiser commercials. You know, with the frogs.
Sup? Sup?
Bud, what?
Sup? Yeah, those were great. I don't know in the for leveling up our professionalism for our augmenters folks looking to talk to somebody that potentially has a higher role. They're looking to talk to somebody. I do like what's up, but wondering if you have anything else.
I definitely do. And actually, I think what or I do and how I start is I think to myself, all well, delete, delete, delete. Erlen, I'm coming back. Okay. Yes, Julie, I agree. Maybe you shouldn't always say sup. But there are other ways to show a little bit about your own personality. And that puts the other person at ease by showing you're being vulnerable by not having all your armor on. And remember that all great leaders have great mentors. And before somebody becomes a mentor in your life, you're going to need to say hello. So having an opener to show a little bit of your own vulnerability is really valuable.
Totally. And it's almost just like that one first line, right? That's like the scariest part. It's just like standing on a diving board and just taking that one, like you got one foot up, you got your other foot off, like you're jumping, you're
Love
diving, I
it.
don't know what you're doing, but you're ready to go. So it's just that moment that you are able to kind of push yourself to just say something. So we have a couple, I have a couple good examples of different scenarios. So maybe we can role play, Jimmy.
Mm, okay. I, I I
Okay.
I left my robe and wizard hat elsewhere, but I'm ready.
So, Jimmy, you are a successful CEO that is
Tell
running
me more.
a powerful snack company that is focused on the almighty chickpea. And you're standing over talking to a couple folks. And I know that I also really want to start a chickpea snack company. And I really would like to say hello to you. I don't know if I'm going to get another opportunity. You're standing over there. I walk over. I'm trying to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy for me.
Mm-mm.
What is the best thing? What kind of line what kind of line would you want to hear from me?
I would want to hear, hi, my name is, I'm curious what y'all are talking about.
Okay, that's a good one.
It's
I like
simple.
that.
It's not
Yeah.
going to win any awards, but even just by introducing yourself, it's surprising you are being a little vulnerable. You're sharing something about you. So, like we talk about on AugMentors all the time, you need to give, give, give before you ask.
So just coming over to group saying, "Hi, I'm Julie Meyer. How are y'all doing? Do you mind if I join your conversation?
Yes, it's a big win.
What are y'all chatting about?"
And maybe not even say that because that can feel sometimes a little bit because not now you're asking for something instead of
Yeah.
giving. You're like, hey, I'd love to join the conversation. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. "Do you mind if I jump in here?" Yes. I love it. And most people don't they're always talking to people that they don't know, and they could also sometimes you get stuck in very long conversations, Jimmy, I don't know if this happens to you, where you're like, "Okay, we're talking. I think we're about to wrap up the conversation. I hope somebody comes in and saves me." So you could
I,
actually be being really helpful.
I'm just not as charming as you. So no, I usually walk away. But I do think in those conversations when you're joining a group like that, by you introducing yourself, more than half the time you're going to find that somebody in the group's going to go, "Oh, hi Sarah," or "Hi Bob. Thanks so much for coming over. Why are you at this event? How do you know people here?" And you're going to find that not in a bad way, but you'll be able to now share without having to you'll now share and be prompted to share instead of you taking control. You'll be offered to start sharing about what you're doing here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And sometimes it's awkward, right, to be like sometimes I say, "Where are you from?" And then they'll say, "Oh, I'm from Boston." And I was like, "Oh, no, I actually meant like where like what company are you from?" Because you do like these are humans and you want to know them, but you also want to know where they're from. What company are they coming from? So I tend to say, "What kind of work do you do?" "What kind of industry are you in?" "Which organization are you from?" Where are you from?" I'm trying to think. It's hard to like have the exactly the right way to say, I'm trying to not look at your badge and study it to figure out exactly who you are, but I wanna know who you are.
So this is where I think it's great to know the group and community you're in. So for example, all my time living in Washington D.C., I could tell somebody had been in D.C. for at least a year because within the first minute of meeting somebody, they would ask, "What do you do?" And basically what they're really asking is, do you work for the government? Are you government adjacent? And how can I make some money or get a little power shine from you?
Yes.
But living in Baltimore, within the first minute of meeting somebody, they almost say, "Hey, who do you know?" because Baltimore is known as Smaltimore, so it's much more about relationships. And there's still a whole bunch of people I know around here who I don't know what they do for work.
Yeah. Yeah. New York is the same as DC, right? It's very quickly like down to brass tacks.
Mhm.
Versus, actually who are you as a person or but just like identifying where you are. But I do think in a networking situation, if you are, let's say at a conference or you're at like a cocktail party or a reception of some kind, and you're looking to really make connections, potentially get a job, find a mentor, I think those questions are valid. And I think it's okay to be a bit direct.
100%.
Yeah. And really ask, oh, where do you work or what organization are you with? Or but my other tip, Jimmy,
Mhm.
is that it's really nice to make a little compliment before you say anything else.
You do love a bit of flattery.
Well, not
Oh
to
my gosh,
me.
that necklace right now, whew, yeah, it's not
I
great,
don't
but
look
it's
so
good.
tired.
Very good.
Okay. Um, uh, now you threw me off. Um, I think,
A
yeah,
little
a
bit of
little
flattery.
flattery, right? A little flattery, like, "Ooh, I really like your shoes," or "That's a cool tie," or, um, you know, "That food in your hand looks really good. Where did you get that?" Just something that kind of breaks the ice. That's a little bit of to your point, like something just to get to know people. And generally, a compliment is a great way to start. I really like whatever.
Touch of flattery.
A little touch of flattery. Nobody is annoyed that somebody said something nice to them.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that is wonderful. And when you get good at this, there's some next level pieces to it where your compliment can then lead to a conversation piece. So
Mm.
if you were saying, "Oh, wow, I didn't know how much I would like red headphones and they look great on you," that could then go, "Where did you get those headphones? Why do you have these headphones? How do they work compared to your other headphones?" And you'd be surprised that some of these little things most people never get asked about. But I'm sure, Julie, those headphones are much closer to you than most items or people are. They're in your ear.
I have a
And
lot of feelings about these headphones. I could go on forever and you'll never want to listen to my thoughts.
and as we know from all of our other augmenting your leadership conversations, when you listen loud, as Oprah would say, people think they like you because you are listening to them. So if somebody tells you about how they feel about their red headphones, that person likes you.
And pro move is the next conversation. Make a joke about headphones.
Oh yeah, call back.
Pro move. People go
Mhm.
bonkers for stuff like that. It's just a great way to connect. It shows you listened, it shows you remembered, it shows you're willing to come back to that conversation about the shared moment that you had together, because it's all about creating the shared moment, creating that connection, so that you're able to go back and have another conversation for whatever it is you're looking for. Again, a mentor, a job, a sales call, a friendship, right? Or does somebody you just want to get to know better. That those are all the pieces that get you there. So, okay, so in my scenario, I came over to you. I asked if I could join the group. We chatted. We turned around, started talking about headphones, shrimp, and your tie. And then I called back. So that's how I would handle the situation. How would you handle the situation?
In the shared moment walking over, I would almost always have something ready to say about the environment or the content of the event. So, if the food looks great, have something to say, "Wow, I haven't been able to get there yet. Have you had any of the food?" Again, just something very basic. It could also be, "I really like it's a beautiful day outside. How's your day going?" And now you give a little bit of context to the conversation instead of just saying, "How are you?" You're like, "Oh, look, it's a beautiful day. What do you think?" And they'll probably actually ignore your question and instead just respond, "It is a beautiful day. This is going great. Like, where are you headed?" Because now you've already built some shared back and forth. You're bringing positivity to the conversation. And in the end, it doesn't really matter what you say as long as it's really something that you would say. So if I showed up and suddenly started talking about being a chief commercial officer somewhere, it wouldn't be true to me and it might come across a little strange. I wouldn't be comfortable. but
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable smiling with my eyes and saying, "It's a beautiful day. How are you?" And people will see that energy in you. And again, I think it just comes back to knowing yourself. Even if you're nervous when you say that, that's cool. You're being yourself. Everybody's nervous. That's okay.
Yeah, I love that is such a great point about saying something positive because it is tempting to walk in to a conversation and like say something kind of snarky and negative about the event or about a speaker or about whatever, but it can totally backfire um, because I don't love when somebody starts with a negative, just from a standpoint, would this be somebody I'd want to work for me or somebody I would want to mentor or somebody I would want to, kind of be part of my world because would they come up to a client and say something really negative?
Yeah,
So
that person might represent you, and you don't want to be represented with negativity.
totally, totally. So I think just starting with something positive. And as you know, I do love the line, "How is your day going?" Because I think we've talked about it before. It's like very specific. How are you is like big. Like, how are you, Jimmy?
Yeah, and I do my best to be positively snarky in my replies to you.
But like, how's your day going? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Friday, like we're chilling out, we're doing our like, globally, how am I might be a bigger question than at the moment. I'm doing fine and I'm happy to be here with you. So I think having that kind of just specific grounding, I think really works. I haven't had so many times where I felt like it wasn't valuable.
And I don't think it's bad for people to have a go-to line because that means you've practiced it. It's just like
Yeah.
people have their go-to lunch meeting spot. People have their happy hour drink spot. You should use those locations because it lets you be comfortable. And if you're comfortable, it's going to be easier for you to let the people you're with feel comfortable as well. So some of my favorite jokes are, would you like to meet a dolphin? And that is a wonderful way to have an opener or say something to somebody, maybe not in an elevator, confined spaces can be strange, but in a public space, maybe near a zoo, person says no, you might be like, why don't you want to meet a crown prince of France? Like that could be cool. And if the person says yes, I would like to meet a dolphin, then you could say something like, well, be careful, they're a protected species, we don't have a lot of dolphins left. So it's kind of a play on words. It shows I enjoy getting crazy, and it makes me happy. So when I'm smiling and the other person thinks I'm crazy, well, at least I think I'm crazy and probably worth another minute or two of conversation.
I think you would definitely get them to think. I don't know what they would think, but you definitely get them to think. And my homework too, Jimmy, is I would like you to use that line in the next 2 weeks, and let's come back and talk about it in our intro outro.
Oh, that's not homework. I might have already said it today. That's done.
And it works, I assume.
Dude, don't get me started about Louisa May Alcott.
Okay. So I hope okay. So, but let's talk about don't. Let's talk about don'ts. I think we've already started don'ts. Don't be negative. Don't walk
Mm-mm.
in with like some really sort of negative, snarky comment. The other thing is also try to read a situation a little bit because I've had scenarios where I've been in a very in-depth conversation with somebody, and it's been a very intense conversation, and somebody comes up to kind of join the group, but it's not really a great time because we're in the middle of something pretty intense. So I think when you're coming up to somebody to have that conversation, try to read their body language a bit. You can tell when people are just kind of, schmoozing and chatting, it's easy to walk up. But if it seems like people are in a really intense conversation, not a great moment.
And a way to tell, because it can be hard for some people to tell, is if people are smiling, looking
Yes.
around while talking, if they have pauses and then say something else, if they are not leaning into each other, but more standing upright or leaning back, those are all great times to talk to somebody, as opposed to something that may be louder voices and maybe hunched over and may have prolonged eye contact. You don't want to break somebody else's eye contact.
No, no, that can be really awkward because then they don't quite know what to do with you, and it might also hurt your confidence in doing that again. And also, I think coming up with sort of too serious of a line, especially at kind of a networking event, and coming in with something too serious or bold. Like it's just an icebreaker. It's just an opportunity to have a conversation. So maybe don't come in with like a bunch of stats and facts, and it's not a great time for data and going on too long.
I agree. And you don't want to start with something like, "Do you think Mars is the key to the existence of the human race?" That that might also.
Unless you're talking to somebody from Mars Inc., then
Oh, yes. Unless somebody might be selling a whole lot of what, dog food or chocolate.
exactly. Then you can definitely lean in with something like that. But don't get too esoteric. Keep it light. The point is that you want to develop relationships. And then I think something we talk about all the time is once you've had that break, you've had a little bit of a opportunity to break the ice, you've had a little bit of a conversation. I think we can do a whole other episode about how do you follow up? How do you get the numbers? This is just really about like how do you get that? What is the first line that you use to get into the door?
First line in person too, because
Yes.
via email is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So this is all about in person or on the phone, and really, it's in person is where you want to be. And I think what most people overlook. I just had a wonderful Uber ride. Shout out Jasmine when I was coming back from the airport yesterday, and we were rolling through Baltimore City, kind of talking about the area. And we started talking about the aquarium, the National Aquarium located in Baltimore, not DC. Thank you. And she said something that was really funny where she was like, "I'd love to go, but I'm not going to go in the middle of the day by myself. That'd be weird." And I said, "Why? Why would it be weird?" And she had an electric car, so she sometimes needs places to charge and go walk around and do stuff. I was like, "That sounds like a great thing to do." She's like, "Oh, I'd feel pretty uncomfortable." And I said, "I bet there is at least one other person every day walking around the aquarium on their own. And I'm sure that that person would not mind you coming up and saying something like, 'Hey, how are you? My name's Jasmine. How great is this multicolored fish over here that is about to eat that other fish? What do you think?'" And you're never going to know what that other person's going to say, but I'm sure that they're going to be okay with chatting with you for a little bit. And you'll know pretty quickly if it's going to be a 1 minute chat or a 10-minute chat. And I think what people forget is that we all crave, we are humans. Everybody to some level just wants somebody else to see them, like really see them. And just by saying hello and saying something like that, even if you get just half a smile, you have given somebody half a smile, and that should make you happy. So I encourage Jasmine to go to the aquarium.
I had my very first date ever in that aquarium. That's a longer story, but
Well,
it is a fabulous aquarium, and I do think it's a great
let
place
me tell you,
to.
the sharks never ate better.
So awful. But the
He
I
was a
yes,
tall young man, gangly,
I
a little awkward. He tripped. Ooh, got out of there quick.
so mean. I love that for Jasmine, and honestly, especially at these networking events, these in-person things, everybody is nervous, everybody's uncomfortable. People are coming back from COVID. They're not used to this. You can be the one to have that
Mhm.
conversation, and that when they leave and they go home that night, they'll think that they will leave with a really good feeling because they had a chance to meet you. You brought good energy, you had a good conversation, you made them feel comfortable, you made others feel comfortable, and they will definitely remember you fondly as you follow up on the next episode to schedule time with them. So hopefully there's some good tips here.
I totally agree. So here are keys on how to connect better with others. Okay. Ask for permission to join a conversation. Say hello, introduce yourself, and then say, "May I join your conversation? May I sit down? May I eat with you? May I ask you a question about XYZ that you do? May I ask you why you're here? I'm really excited to be here." Simple. Number two is think about a small compliment. Nobody is annoyed at just a little piece of flattery. And the pro move, Julie Meyer, pro tip, keep that in mind for the next time you see that person, the shared moment callback. Engineer Jimmy will tell you, write it down in your contacts in the notes section. And when you see that person again, go to the contact. They'll be waiting for you. Our third tip is to say something positive. Remember, everybody likes sunny days more than rainy hurricanes.
Unless you live in Florida.
True, true. And the way to grow to your potential as a leader is to understand that others feel the same way as you. We are all humans. So your human feelings are the same as others. And there are almost no people that feel amazingly comfortable walking up to somebody new and saying, "Sup, how are you?"
The classic Jimmy line. Classic Jimmy line. Yeah, this was fun. I'm excited. I hope people use some of these tips, and we will look forward to hearing how it goes.
Don't sleep on the Crown Prince of France. AugMentors out.